Hello viewers, 4DIYers here with another video for everyone. In this particular video here, I'll be showing you how to change both serpentine belts on a first generation Mazda CX9 equipped with the 3.7 liter V6. This is also found on other Ford and Lincoln models from the same generation. This is a 2015 model. Let me start by saying this isn't a fun job by any means. Personally, I think the idea of a stretch belt is bad, and having next to no room working here doesn't make it any easier. Here's an example of the belt requiring the replacement. The squeaking is an indication of the belt slipping, therefore it's stretched. I would recommend replacing both belts and check the tensioner to ensure it's not requiring a replacement as well. The tensioner can fail by not providing sufficient tension or having the pulley bearing fail. A bad tensioner will typically not allow the belt to tighten and potentially bounce when the engine is running. First is elevating the vehicle. We are required to remove the passenger side wheel. Accessing those lug nuts will vary between vehicles. In this case, I am required to remove the hubcap. Then I am able to access those lug nuts. The lug nuts are 21mm. Then remove the wheel. Use a jack stand under the subframe as a safety. There is a plastic cover which is required to be removed to gain access to the serpentine belt. It has 4 clips that need to be disconnected. A phillips screwdriver is required to unscrew the center portion of the clip. Once done, either pull out the clip or pull off the cover. Keep in mind these clips may pop out, so don't lose them. Next, the coolant reservoir needs to be unbolted and pulled off to the side. This will allow us to gain more access for pulling the tensioner back. 3 10mm bolts hold this in place. Then push it over towards the engine. Do not disconnect the coolant lines. Here's a view once everything is removed. You can see the tensioner down below next to the structure. The tensioner does require a special tool with a 3/8 adapter. There's not enough room to fit a ratchet in here, unfortunately. However, there is a way around this. An adjustable wrench can be used to grab onto the top portion of the tensioner. As you can see, once I have that adjustable wrench in place, it can be pulled back to remove the belt. It's a bit tricky to remove the belt when relieving the tension as there isn't much room to work. A standard screwdriver can be used to help assist it off one of the pulleys. Typically, taking it off the smoothest pulley is the easiest option. Always make note of how the belt is routed. Here's a quick diagram for a reference. Here's a comparison between the old and new belts. There was some very light cracking in the old belt. The belt is glazed, and this is shown by the shiny surface, and I did notice it was substantially stretched when compared to the new belt, which is why it's slipping. Next is the stretch belt. On this particular engine, it's used for the power steering pump. Use some form of cutters to cut off the old belt. This is by far the easiest way. For installing the new belt, there are tools available which I had. However, due to the limited space, I was unable to use them. Another option which I used was cable ties. The belt is first installed onto the crank pulley, then pushed on as far as possible onto the power steering pulley. The power steering has various holes where the cable ties can be routed through, holding the belt in place. I started out using 1 cable tie per hole. However, due to the excessive amount of tension, they broke. So, 2 cable ties are required for each hole. A total of 4 cable ties were used. The crank is turned at the same time in the clockwise direction using an 18mm socket with either a 1/2-inch drive ratchet or a Johnson bar. I would highly recommend having a helping hand for this. It can be hard to direct that belt into place while turning the engine over. I found using a standard screwdriver to help rotate the power steering pulley did help. Once that belt is in place, then the cable ties can be cut off. They can be cut off from up through the bottom. After that is installing the large serpentine belt with the tensioner. Again, I would highly recommend having a helping hand unless you can wedge something between the wrench and firewall to release the tension. Route that belt around the ripped pulleys first and finish up on the smoothest pulley. When done, the plastic cover can then be installed. Line up those holes and then snap in each of those individual clips. Finish up by installing the center screws for the expanding clips. Reinstall the coolant reservoir and tighten those 10mm bolts. Ensure the hub face is clean on the back of the wheel and on the rotor, then install the wheel. Finally is tightening those 21mm lug nuts and finishing up with clipping on the hub cap. Start the engine to make sure everything is operating as it should. New videos released every week on my channel. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, it's a huge help to me, and leave a comment below if you found this story helpful. If you're not a subscriber, be sure to also hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching.